All right, we are live. Let me just double check the systems this side. Yes. There we go. Final checks. All right, there we go. Hello, Reina. How are you today?
Hello, everyone. I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's so great if we can come live and show up for our community on YouTube and for those watching us live and on replay. Hello and welcome to you guys. If this is your first time joining us on this session, this is our weekly or semi-weekly conscious living toolbox where we dive into our own consciousness to bring forward what needs to be heard or what needs to be shared, and just basically share and dive into the energies of the day. So, the topic for today is small wins, right? So, I'm going to kick it off with a question. Reina, what does a win look like for you?
A win look like as a fulfillment of an intention that you have set for yourself or something that you have been working on for a long time or for a short time and you manage to success in it, like to fulfill it basically. This is what win means to me. What about you?
Yeah, so a win for me would be anything that you achieve that you haven't achieved before. If you're just going to achieve something that you've done before, you just gain experience. But if you accomplish something that you've never done before and it was a real challenge for you and you really overcome it, then that is a win. Because if you take a look at the race, there's a lot of preparation that goes in. If you really want to win that race, you need to put in hard work. There's a lot of challenges that you need to face and everything like that. So the same is true for small wins for us in our daily lives as well. If it's not a small challenge or something that we need to overcome, then it's just another challenge that we overcame and not a win, basically.
Yes, I agree with you, definitely.
Yeah. So how would you say, because it's important to celebrate the wins and that we experience, because if we don't dive into that, we don't show recognition to our cellular structure and our body, then it might go the other way, because we need to reward it. We like very habitual beings. If we don't reward it, then our body just responds in a different way. So how do you celebrate and reward your being for like any kind of wins?
Yes, that's a good one. Just before I answer your question, I want to kind of tap into this and discuss it basically a little bit more. So we as human beings have learned to be very, very hard on ourselves. So unless it's like a big win that it's recognizable by people external, we don't really reward ourselves and we don't really celebrate it. But the importance and the act of celebration a small win, celebrating a small win, is an act of self-love to yourself, and that recognition and reward, it's really, really important. So instead of, when you have achieved something, going and saying what I could have done better, which is a good feedback for yourself, but when you get stuck in it, it's not very productive. So instead of going and saying, oh yeah, but this could be done better, the other one could be, yeah, okay. So there's always space for expansion. We know that. But literally tune into all the hard work that you have done for that project, whatever that project is, and recognize that you have come so far. You have held space for people that depend on that thing that you have, achieved, and for yourself first as well. So it's very, very important. Celebration, we know how as human beings, we say, oh, let's get a drink or let's get, party, let's party or whatever, you know. So we again go into a very destructive way of celebrating. So recognition and reward, it will be something that you haven't done before too. For example, take yourself to a spa or go to a new place. You know, do something for you basically. So yeah, why am I saying this? Why I tapped into this? I had an event yesterday which I have been preparing for a long time. It was a symposium in person and hybrid event, so we had people in person, people online as well. And there's one of the hosts of this event, an organizer. You know, we all were a little bit stressed out, a little bit anxious. Is it gonna go well? And because of the nature of this event, a very sensitive nature, we had to make sure that everything is very well organized. And my concern, I would say, or, you know, my intention rather, not a concern, my intention was to hold safe space for all our attendees, to build that space where everybody is respected, appreciated for who they truly are. And this is how, when I was doing my housekeeping as well, I set that intention in front of that audience yesterday. And, you know, really to kick off that energy, because we know that we are all energy, whether you are spiritually awakened or not. It is very important, the power of intention that you set. And other people might not be in that kind of, they don't have to understand, because your light impacts 75,000 people, I think, in a radius of like, yeah. So when you set your intention, when you send your heart light and you feel like all this bubble is like around, is protecting these people, it really makes a difference. And of course, I didn't expect anything else, you know. The event went really well. It was really amazing. The feedback was incredible. I was like, oh my God, like, you know, this is really working. This is like amazing. So the gratitude that I was sitting in yesterday and the excitement when I was hearing people saying comments like, this is the first event that I felt like myself. I felt truly appreciated. I didn't have to explain myself. I was like, that's it, you know, I have fulfilled my intention, for which, you know, I was really, really grateful. And it's just so amazing when you create that space, you know, when you work with people and when you create that space and be part of that. And then really give yourself grace. I think this is the immediate reward that you can give to yourself straight away, not like a physical act of doing something, but sit in that grace for yourself and say, wow, look what I have achieved. Look at me. I have come so far. And at some point in time, that even you might have not believed that this is possible, but once you achieve that, once you climb that mountain, as you said yesterday to me on a message, it's like so great to just sit in that grace and appreciation for all there is, for the divinity that you are, and recognize it. So yeah, I think immediate reward is gratitude for self.
Yeah, definitely. I love that, and so much. And congratulations on the success for your event.
Thank you so
It's always for those who haven't hosted a event for themselves yet, because I believe everybody eventually in their life organizes events somewhere, somehow. Just that feeling of accomplishing, it's that build up that leads up towards it is intense, but then once the event starts, it goes off the chart. And
Yes.
the more people involved, the more energies create as the space, the more chaotic it can become. So yeah, just having an intention, first of all, for a safe space is super valuable, and it's part of the foundation of a group setting like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Very.
and just bringing this, yeah, and just bringing this back to like small wins and everything that you've mentioned. It all comes down to opportunities that we create. Like as you say, as we mentioned in the beginning, that you can only experience a true win if it's something that you haven't done before. Like even if you've done it before but you broke a record, that's still a win because you haven't done it in, let's say, run the race in that time yet. So it's still something new. Um,
Totally.
so yeah, and when we create the opportunities for ourselves, we get to create new experiences for us and long-term wins and stuff like that. So when it comes to vision and creating a vision for our lives, and we're
Mm-hmm.
able to look forward to what we want to experience in the next, let's say, 10 years, and you have this whole plan laid out in your mental field of in your visualizations, but then in between there are planned small wins, scheduled
Mm-hmm.
wins within it called milestones. So, what does some milestones look like to you, Reina? If you have to look at like past projects or future projects, what
Mm-hmm.
does milestones look like to you?
Milestones. This is really important as well, because sometimes I sit there and I'm like, okay, so you can create an opportunity for yourself, as you mentioned, by even contacting one person, and reaching out.
Mm,
So I'm very passionate about reaching out, and because I'm a person's what is it called, people's person, right? I love talking, as you can see. Um, it is even like reaching out and making that out of your comfort zone outreach to somebody that so you have some kind of perception that again, it's very important to mention the intention behind reaching out. Remember, and
mm,
always I have found that when you set your intention for the highest good of all, then it's your path is kind of cleared, because your intention is super powerful. So when you call your energy back to yourself and you say, okay, I'm going to do my outreach to this person or to these people that it's out of my comfort zone, always, always, always set that intention for the highest good of all. So you don't
mm,
go and create that chaos for yourself or for others for that fact, because everything is
mm,
energy. So when you set that intention, then you go and you outreach, and that outreach is out of your comfort zone. You have some kind of expectation, don't we all, that this person is gonna reply in a positive or in a negative way, etc., etc. I would say leave that open, leave that to be answered by the universe.
mm,
Um, from the moment that you take an action step forward with a pure intention, just leave it open and see. It's gonna, if it doesn't come from that outreach, it's gonna come from somewhere else. It's just like a chain that is like a domino effect, right? So
mm,
yeah, milestone, it will be something that is out of your comfort zone, which is on a daily basis, if you want, because you get that kick of excitement when you're like, oh my god,
mm,
shall I send a message to this person? Shall I send them an email? And what if they answer? What if, like, leave the what ifs to the universe and just do that small steps out of your comfort zone. So you then start creating that opportunity for yourself. It might not be from the first time. And remember, this is like so important. I have noticed in my experience with creating events and my rekindled passion for creating events in the last few months, that if the answer is no, it means not yet. So
mm,
don't take a no for an answer and just say, okay, not yet. That's fine. So what is my next step? Where else can I do, or what else can I do? So let your creative mind search for that, and when that intention is pure for the highest good of all, because this is so important. Again, I cannot just stress so much the importance of this, honestly. There are people out there that they just roam around and they don't have pure intention. We don't want to be kept in an energy of non-pure intention,
mm,
because that is not serving anybody. So as long as you call your energy in back to yourself and your power, then opportunities are just going to start flowing and manifesting in your life. Like, this is just guaranteed. This
mm.
is universal law, the same as the gravity law. exactly the same. So those little milestones, like today I'm going to outreach to these 3 people. It doesn't matter what the answer will be. This is practice for yourself.
Mm.
I don't know whether
Yeah.
this answered your question. I think people needed to hear that.
Yeah, no, I love it. Any answer is a good answer at the end of the day. So yeah, it is so true. The energy of the that's behind the intention will determine the impact that it has on the people and the influence that it has on the people around us. So if it's really not pure and of good for the benefit of all involved, then it will really spiral into something which you do not want later on in your life, because that
Absolutely.
energy, once it's in momentum, is going. And whether if you take your attention away from it, that snowball is all going down the hill, and you're the one who pushed it down the hill. And if something gets damaged along the way, spiritually, you are going to be held responsible for that. And
Absolutely.
we'll only find that out afterwards, when or once we tap into our spiritual realm and they're like, oh, okay, I've done this, then there's a lot of healing that needs to be done.
Yes, totally. This is very,
Um,
very important that this came up actually. Incredibly important, I would say. And this is part of that conscious living that we talk about in these talks, because it is all energy and you want to be kept your energy pure, doing your energy practices, doing your meditation, anything that can support you. Another thing that has really helped, and we have kind of tapped into this before, it's a really powerful way of preparing that environment before you arrive there. It's like getting the oven going, right? Is that what you were saying before? Warm up the oven. So basically,
yeah, breathe oven.
the
Yeah.
heat oven, that's it. So again, with your pure intention, as soon as you set that intention for yourself, you send your heart light to that place. You literally shower the place with your heart light, the building, the people in the building, the furniture in the building, absolutely everybody who worked there, their families, and that light impacts. So send your heart light with your intention. Sometimes when we go to hospital, for example, or places where the energy is like a lower vibration, is very deep, darker energy. I have started doing this now very regularly. If I need to go to the hospital, and you can feel this, contraction in your energy body, right? As soon as I go, I tune into that energy of mine. I start sending my heart light, literally showering absolutely everything around me with my heart light. And then people feel that energy. They don't know where it has come from, but they feel, and they feel a bit better. So they don't even need to know that you send your heart light there, because at the end of the day, it's all coming from one space. But it's very important to do this, and you see that it goes smooth thereafter. And it only takes one person to do that. You, as a responsible spiritual being in a human body, to prepare that space. So it's very powerful technique to do wherever you go, whether it's a job interview, whether it's a networking session, whether it's an event with like many people, or even with one person. It's like so important that you do that practice before you go with your pure intention and your heart light.
Yeah, so true. And just to tap back into like the dense energies, like if you have to um, go to hospitals and stuff like that, as mentioned, or even a public place where past experiences from previous civilizations
Yeah,
have war zones of like previous. If you go to those places, those energies are still there. It's just covered and covered and covered. So when we're able to shine our hot light and in the space of oneness and the law of one, we realize that we owe it to ourselves to create this a safe environment for safe passage for other parts of our soul as well. Because even if it happened so many years ago, and doesn't mean that it doesn't still have an influence on my personal life, even though we do not see the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, the non-physical is more real than the physical that we are experiencing, because the non-physical influences the physical.
Absolutely.
So once we shine our heart light, it affects the creation atoms, the atoms that create the whole
Mm-hmm.
structures for the atoms to be produced in the first place. So that is the power that we have. And we are, I believe that we are having a major win in consciousness, is
Mm-hmm.
that we are starting to remember this truth about our being and the power that we have.
Definitely. Definitely. It's absolutely true. And the more we tap into that power, the more we realize how powerful we are, and then manifestation happens. Especially when you tune into being that person and being that energy and just being that divinity that is walking about. um, Remember, you are not defined by your emotions or your thoughts. They do influence you, but you are not them. And whatever labels you put on yourself, when you go at core, what is the authenticity, right? It's that part of you that never changes. It's that divinity, that particle of God consciousness, is that universal light that is within. Because when this light leaves your body and when you're no longer on the physical realm, it goes back home. That same energy, it's always here,
Mm.
it's always present, it never goes. It's like everlasting. So we can utilize it. And
Yeah.
that's why when you wake up in the morning, just send yourself so much grace. It's another day, it's another beginning. It's this now present moment. You can make a difference in the world only by being you, only by
Mm.
absolutely tuning into that, self, that authenticity of yourself. And I know
Mm.
we talk about authenticity and it's sometimes getting a bit cheesy, but what truly is to be authentic? Ponder on this question, where within you your authenticity resides. So, do you have any questions, any comments online?
Yeah, from a space of pure intention. Because once we up at that line, can you hear me well? I just want to see if my internet is holding up.
Yes, the energy is so high. Your
Yeah.
internet is going.
Alright.
Yes, I can hear.
Can you? Okay. There's a bit of a delay, but we'll run with it. So, I could, to answer your question, what is it? How do we show up authentically, or from
Mhm.
which place does authenticity reside? I'd say from the space from where we set our intention. So if we're going to set an intention with our mental space, it will create a certain energy field based around that, because our head has its own magnetic field and our heart has a magnetic field. So if you're going to make questions from our heart or from our head, it's only going to have a limit, be limited by its own um, perception and what it knows. But when we come from our heart space and set our intention with our heart and allow our authenticity to reside from that space and from an entire being, it's able to, as we mentioned before, it affects everything around and the cosmic structures. So when it comes to the authenticity that we show up as, is just, I think, having um, what's it called? Have gratitude and grace for yourself in such a way that even though you are not perfect, we will never be perfect, because we always got something to learn and to work through. But it's showing up for yourself even though you do not feel like showing up, because
Mhm.
you owe it to yourself for growth and to get that, even if it's a small win, then you're able to live authentically because you showed up and you conquered another day. So that's being authentic.
This is exactly, it is so great, and to micromanage that way of being as well,
Mm,
I feel very much guided nowadays to just be present in this now moment, not even for today, just in this now moment, being here for with everything that I am, just in this now moment. And when you tune into that present moment, you can experience gratitude. You can invoke gratitude for yourself, no matter what is going on. If that thing is, even when hard things are going on, you can still go back to that and experience gratitude. If you truly believe that life is happening for you, not to you, as Tony Robbins
mm,
says, right? And know that this is part of your journey. So this is, relevant. And I know that we dive deep to shadow with our talks. And it's those kind of collective energy, I think, that comes through as well with even when you have judgment for yourself, even if you have criticism for yourself, whatever lower vibrational emotion you're experiencing, thoughts or emotions, you can still go back to authenticity and choose gratitude, because at the end of the day, it's a matter of choice, you know? So how do you go back and tune into that, divinity that you are within?
yeah. One thing that comes to mind is in a situation where everything seems out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel like you cannot show up as your authentic self, how can you retake control of what you can and collect yourself together? It all comes back to your breath,
Yeah,
because that is one thing that you have control over in any situation, which is also the first thing that we forget is to breathe in
mm-hmm.
a stressful situation, right? So the more we breathe, the more life force energy we bring into our being, and just by consciously breathing, you follow it everywhere where your conscious goes, that energy flows and you create space.
Absolutely.
So yeah, come back to your breath and be authentic in your breath. If you feel that, don't force it. If you have to feel, okay, breathe, but it feels like it only gets your breath only goes till here instead of all the way down. Okay, there's a blockage down by my heart space. I'm not being authentic somewhere. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Then you just release and let go and allow your breath to fall, and you'll just feel naturally that your breath on the exhale drops a bit lower. And then when you inhale again, it's like, okay, I've got a bit more space. But then you just repeat the process until you can actually take in that nice deep diaphragmic, like below your diaphragm, all the way up. And the deeper you can breathe, the more energy you can consume, the more light you can radiate out, and the more conscious effect you can have around your environment.
That's amazing. I just love this. Thank you so much for saying that. It's so true. It's so true. Absolutely. And if you find yourself into a difficult situation, definitely go back to a memory that you have when you've had a win, when you've
Mm,
had a small win, a big win, whatever, a situation where you experience so much grace, and go back and tune into that. Bring that memory into your senses, into your mental, into your emotional plane, and tune back into it, whatever it's happening. You always have a choice to go back to that experience in that
mm,
moment, even if it's like really, really hard. So remember that you have a choice, because we can sit in victimhood mode, and haven't we all sat? And again,
mm,
I think from the moment that you realize that you are in victimhood mode and you're like, am I acting as a victim? Hold on a minute. Oh, yeah, I am. So from the moment you realize, remember, whatever you don't change, you choose. So
mm,
go back to that and say, okay, so how do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? Bring that memory. And this is like a magnet. Your energy is going to bring more of that energy. And same and I think, why then, here's a question for you. Why do we, when we experience like a hard situation, like a challenging situation, why can we not just disconnect from it? And when we experience a positive, experience, a win, the energy flows like really quick, the energy flows quick. It's amazing. We feel grateful. We feel on top of the world. And it seems like, oh, this is a lovely way of being. But then when we're experiencing a challenging situation, we kind of hold on to so tight, you know.
Yeah. Well, one thing that comes to mind to answer your question there is growth. So if
Yeah.
you take a look at a tree, if a tree grows, a tree grows more during a storm than on a lovely sunny day, right? Yes, it will get more nutrients to grow in the long run during a sunny day, but it's the actual storms and that stressful that bends and moves the fibers within the tree so that it allows and creates space for it to grow and use the sunlight when you are having that blissful state. So
Mm-hmm.
the more storms we go through, the stronger our roots become and the stronger our internal structures become. So I think that's why we hold on for dear life, is because we know that this is where growth happens, and I want to grow as much as possible in the shortest amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
on a subconscious level, right?
Yeah.
Because we won't admit that we actually love this the challenge that we are in and the problem we are facing, but we know deep down we need problems in order to grow, and we are problem solvers at the end of the day. If you take a
True.
look back in our life, how many problems have we overcome and challenges that we've overcome, and we've become better people because of it. And later on
Absolutely.
in life, we'll remember those moments like, I wouldn't want it any other way. But when you're in it, it's like, whoa.
Yes.
It's like you just
Yeah.
want to go. And once you do experience a win, I also find that it's short-lived. It
It
comes,
is.
it goes, and
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, all that work for temporary gratification, basically. Um, I think it also comes down to that energy, is we know that the reason why we tap out of it is because we know tough times make good memories or good times, and good times make creates the potential for bad times to come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you're on a high, anything that's lower than that can cause us to fall and drop to that level. And just the thought of not being in that space creates the blockage in the first place for us to go down and disconnect from that space in the first place. So let's say, take your example now, you accomplish the event, it's a major win, right? Because it's months and months of work that went into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally you can only experience that win for the evening after the thing, and the
Yeah.
next day you're like, okay, it's over, it's done, what now?
Yeah, that's
Right.
exactly it, isn't it? Exactly, exactly.
And yeah, so that it's short lived. But if we just take that experience and look back and say, okay, I've grown this much during the period, and at the end it was like the cherry on the cake, but it's also the one that goes the quickest. So it's the trophy moment, and then you have to give the trophy back to somewhere else because you don't have that trophy to see in your hand constantly to be reminded of that win. Um,
True.
so just to come into the closing section, my final question for you, Reina, is how can we turn losses
Mhm.
into wins?
If we perceive a loss as a stepping stone to our win, I think this is the best thing that we can do. So, what is a loss? What is a loss? It's like the universe saying, no, not now. It's one more way of not doing the things, how not to do. It might be a lesson of, okay, this is not how it's done. Okay. So, um, how many times did Edison need to try to make the electricity, right? He said, you failed so many times. No, I didn't fail, he said. That was another so many times of not doing it that way to only succeed and do it that right way. So it's all a learning curve, remember? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it's like, okay, so what is the learning lesson out of it? So how can you turn it? And this is gonna be your win, your learning, your lesson. It's gonna be your win if you manage to recognize it. If you manage to recognize it, you can transform it into a win for yourself. Again, very much coming from your heart space with gratitude for yourself. Drop that judgment and criticism. And I know this is maybe easily said than done. We are human beings. I still experience sometimes judgment and criticism for self too. But as soon as I recognize that I experience this, I'm like, okay, Raina, hold on a minute. What do you choose? Do you choose this over gratitude? No way. You bring yourself back to the gratitude. You bring yourself down to your heart space and just having appreciation for yourself, saying, okay, that is really good. Because remember, your inner child, right? You don't, if it's crying, if it's like in the corner, you don't just gonna go and say, oh, why did you do it? And you're going to, like, be bad. You're gonna go and you're gonna say, do you need a cuddle? And this is exactly what we don't do with ourselves. We don't give ourselves that love. We can do this and give this to our children, but then that's only going to be true and authentic expressed on the external if we do it with our own internal beings, And again, this is a journey, and this is bringing that consciousness and that conscious way of living into that now moment and recognizing. And as soon as you recognize it, then you can do a change. Then you can shift, literally. If you feel sad, if you feel like judgmental for self, and you recognize this, you can absolutely momentaneously shift that into gratitude, shift that into appreciation, shift that into, okay, what is my lesson? I give so much love to myself. And this is another way of being conscious on a daily basis with your choices. And it's very, very important. It all starts from there. I think it all starts from the love for self, the appreciation for self first, from a heart space, so then we can be more open to the people around us, because we need to walk our talk.
Yeah. I just feel what also coming through now is for those who consider wins as tangible objects that you can physically hold in your hands, because there's a lot of there's nothing wrong with that, being that type of person that needs that justification for their efforts, right? So when we do not get that energy exchange that we thought was going to happen, right? It is important to realize that the experience, the energy of experience that was gained building up to that moment, you needed to go through that in order to learn some skills that you're going to need for your next phase and your next transformation cycle that you're going to face. So not all experience that we are experiencing is meant for now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of them can be for 2 years from now, 3 years from now, but you needed to plant the seed during that. So we say, okay, but we didn't get anything for our efforts, but you got seeds that was planted that's going to reward you 10 times more than it would have if you had to get that temporary gratification, that small win, which we've discovered and found out it's short-lived. So would you rather endure it and have massive success that you can celebrate more and that you can enjoy for a longer duration of time, or have a small win and say, I've done it, here's my certification of participation, look at me, all right, and then carry on? Again, there's nothing wrong with being that kind of person. It is just there's more to life than what necessarily comes to the surface.
Absolutely true.
So yeah, any last words for the viewers right now?
Okay. Just tune into that now moment, and give yourself the self-love, expansion in your heart, the grace for yourself that you are perfectly fine wherever you are in your life in this stage of your journey. It's very important to recognize this and micromanage all your choices and all the small wins as well. Just tune into those and celebrate yourself through appreciation, through gratitude. Remember, anything is possible. The potential is absolutely limitless. There is nothing in the world, if you want to do, that you cannot do. Literally, there is thousands of ways of doing things. I see it, in my daily life on a daily basis when talking to people. I experience it. You experienced, I'm sure, Rowan, and you guys have experienced it too. I remember a time where you thought something is impossible and then you took the first step. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take a first step. And it's step by step, absolutely tuning into the now moment, tuning into the choice of the now moment. There is absolutely nothing, nothing, nothing that you cannot do. And I encourage you today to do an evaluation of yourself and the thing that scares you the most, that you so much want to do, but you think like that's impossible. Tune into that and see what is your first step that you can do today after we finish with this live, or whenever you watch this on replay, that you can take that first step, that you can celebrate that win, that you have taken the first step, and then follow thereafter step by step, until you are this person, this conscious living being, divine being of light, of love, that you can live an amazing, incredible life in every now moment. This is my encouragement for you guys.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Reina. That was really, it hit the spot where it's most needed. And just to add upon that and just take that wave to the beach, um, really challenge yourself in these next couple of days in this new cycle that we are in. We just passed the new moon on Monday. So it was a new cycle of intentions that we set for the next 28 days. And it's also one thing which nobody's talking about, which is also part of conscious living, is that next week, this time, it's New Year. It's literally a new year. We are at the end of the year and it feels like, what? We're only in July now. Well, the original or the Mayan calendar actually ends, or the end of the year is next week on Monday. So then we got a day out of time and then the new year starts. And so yeah, it's definitely a different way of looking at life than what's been given to us to live by, right? So to really conscious living, to live consciously, is to do things differently, because you need that change of environment, that change of that something which looks at us at this particular part of our life differently, which has a cascading effect in all other areas of our life. And that could be a good or a bad thing, but do not have any judgment for it. Enjoy the experience because you're growing in it.
Yes. Lovely.
So
Thank
yeah.
you. I so much appreciate what you said.
So thank you everybody for joining us live or on replay. If you guys would like to become part of our community member, a link to our Patreon will be down below. We got some couple of tiers to choose from, and if you want to allow, if if you allow us to take you on a journey, we would love to dive deeper with you and find out where transformation needs to happen, and then empower you to make the transformation yourself, because the transformation is a very personal and sacred journey and nobody can do it for you. But we are here to support, encourage, and really help you dig deeper and understand yourself on a new level. And so we'll love to take you on that journey. So please take a look at our Patreon. The link is in the description below. And till next time,
Live long and prosper.
take care. Bye for now, everybody.